Okay, so today's date is September 13th, 2025. I'm Kelly Zacovic, representing the City of Savannah Municipal Archives, and I'm interviewing John Hood for the Savannah Community Memory Project. We're conducting this interview at the Savannah Fire Department Training Facility. So, Mr. Hood, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you're here to share with us today?
Yeah, about Kensington Park. My family's owned the home there since 1955, and I've seen a lot of changes, and it's been a wonderful place to have grown up in. I own the home now, and it's a wonderful place today. I can tell you that it used to be narrow streets with ditches and mailboxes out by the road, and now they've delivered the mail to the front of your house. I think the post office told us we had to take down the mailboxes, but there were ditches, and we would play in the street. The mosquito truck would come by. We would have y'all heard that before? And we would run behind it and breathe those good chemicals. Pretty much held our breath, but anyhow, some interesting things that I remember is in the mornings, your milk and orange juice was delivered to your front steps. And I forget whether it was Starling Dairies or Annette's Dairies, but anyhow, you would leave a ticket out and he would fill it. So you would get chocolate milk or regular milk, butter. You know, it'd be on your front steps when you got up in the morning. Now, it wasn't for me, but my parents would go out and get the milk and stuff for breakfast and stuff. So it was a daily thing that I remember, and it may have been just a couple of times a week. I can't really remember, but I thought that was interesting. It has a lot of changes. They paved a new road, and there's no more ditches. But as kids, we played as they paved the road. We had a wonderful time with huge dirt mounds, and this would probably be in the 60s, and huge drain pipes going down to the Kensington Park pool area. And of course, they were brand new pipes, and we would walk through them all the way down to the pool. Saying the Kensington Park pool is still healthy today. It's got a good membership, and it was a fun place to learn to swim, spend your summer days. And of course, school, we used to get out a lot earlier and didn't go back till after Labor Day. So we had a full summer, and the pool was a big part of our summer days. Why don't you ask me a few questions?
So you said your family was one of the original families moving out there. Who was moving into Kensington Park in its early days?
Well, Donald Cogdale was my next door neighbor. He was worked for the railroad. He was a wonderful man. And Arthur Genlat was president of Savannah Electric and Power, lived on the other side of me. So I had two giants. And of course my dad, I considered a giant, but the Mayfields lived a house down. There was 4 boys, so some older than me, one younger than me. So I played Panthers football and stuff with them, and Panthers baseball and stuff. And it was used to go to Hancock, and they would pick us up with a station wagon in front of the house when I was like 4, 5 years old, and take us to Hancock. And I went there a couple of years, but anyhow, so it was a good experience. A lot of my friends, I have Tim Rimley's a friend of mine, and we're still close friends, and he went to Hancock with me and that kind of thing. He lives on Oxford Drive, and anyhow, I walk Kensington Park a lot, and I'm proud of it. It's matured with the trees, speaking of trees, there was hardly any trees in the beginning. But anyhow,
Speaking of how the neighborhood has matured, how many houses were there when y'all moved in?
I think it kind of progressed into the neighborhood, but pretty much all of the houses were there. I think people bought them as quick as they could buy them. They had a back porch, which we've closed in, now it's a den, but where you could grill on your back screened-in porch. It had a fireplace. Of course, we still used a fireplace in the den, but and I think originally it was a 3-bedroom house. When we closed in the garage, made it a 4-bedroom home now. But yeah, it's very nice living, great place to grow up. We went to Hurd School, was our elementary school, and we would walk to Hurd. In fact, I think we got a ride to Wilder, that was our junior high, and then we'd walk home to Kensington Park, and we'd stop off at Kelly's Hamburgers and get an after-school special for 43 cents, hamburger, fries, and a Coke. And so it was just a pretty kickback, laid-back way of life.
Where was Kelly's Hamburgers?
On Durin, come up Waters to Durin, go east a block maybe, and it was on the north side.
Nice. And where did you go to high school?
Jenkins. And then I got bused to Beach. Well, actually I went to Wilder and I got bused to Bartlett in the 9th grade, which was traumatic. My sister, I have a sister, Marilyn, 6.5 years older than I am. So she'd already paved the way in these schools. And so then when they just disrupted my world, they sent me to Bartlett in the 9th grade. And it was the first air-conditioned school in Savannah. And, but I made lifelong friends at Bartlett. So it really was a blessing the way it happened, I guess. And then I went to 10th grade at Jenkins, time of my life, happy days. And then we got a letter that I was going to Beach High School. And I didn't want to go to Beach High School, so it's probably the easiest 2 years of my life. I'd check in the morning and check out just about the time I checked in. I just couldn't. I graduated, but that busing was horrible.
Why did they do that?
Well, everything was segregated, so they wanted to integrate. So, and I think there were a lot of riots in the schools, and but I noticed that putting the white people in black schools, the white people just kept their mouth shut and went home. But when they put the black into the white schools, the whites, it was confrontational. And in fact, one time, the police were called out at a riot at Jenkins, and the police were lined up on Durin Avenue with blue helmets, rifles, and bayonets. And I couldn't believe my eyes. I said, well, come on, y'all, let's get over here in Magnolia neighborhood. They're not gonna come here. And man, they started marching across Durin to the neighborhood. Scared me to death. I mean, when you see somebody with a bayonet, and they have it for a reason. So we ran for our lives, man. But that was horrible experience for us to go through. I mean, I think there would have been a better way to do it, but anyhow, we followed the rules, but it was hard to follow the rules.
That makes sense. What year was that?
72, 71, and 73 I graduated. Went to Armstrong. I got my degree from Armstrong eventually, but I had to take remedial courses at Armstrong to get caught up. I mean, because my love for life was not so strong. Being kicked out of the world I was in, it just messed me up a little bit.
So you graduated from Beach.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share about that? I think that's a really interesting history.
Nah,
We don't hear a lot
that's something that affected me. I don't know if it's interesting to other people, but it was a tough time. Vietnam War was going on, and I don't know. It was kind of depressing time. But anyway, back to Kensington Park. We thoroughly enjoyed being kids in the neighborhood, and had great stay-at-home moms and working moms. But Halloween was special, and we just had a lot of good fellowship between one another.
Tell us about Halloween.
Well, Mr. Cogdale's wife, she would decorate the house, and she'd have you come in one door and had a fruit punch bowl, and she would serve punch and popcorn and different things, and you come out the other door, and you had your paper bag. Back then, we weren't sophisticated, and we would go from house to house, all up and down, stay out several hours, and it was nice. We used to have lightning bugs in the neighborhood, which was fun, but I don't have those much anymore.
Did you live in the neighborhood your whole life?
No, I moved several times. I was married and lived in Pooler, and then I lived at River Crossings. I lived at a couple of places. I lived downtown on Charlton Street for a while.
But you said, did you tell us earlier you live in your childhood home now?
Yeah, my mother was there, and she died about 10 plus years ago, and I left the house to my sister and myself, and then I bought my sister out, and I don't know, it's a great place to live.
You were telling us earlier about some of the architecture of the houses. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
I don't know. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. The shower in the master bedroom. I had a friend live with me a couple of years ago, and he says, "Man, I don't know how your father fit in this shower." I mean, they're small. But anyhow, yeah, it was 2 baths, or you call that, in a living room, dining room, kitchen. I'll tell you a real cool thing, because we had snow last year, but when I was about 10 or 11, which that would have been 65, 66, it poured, it snowed. We got a phone call early in the morning. Look outside, it is snowing. And my mother said, "Y'all gonna eat a good breakfast before y'all go play." And I was sitting there looking out that window at my first snowfall. And it was fascinating, a lot of fun, great memory.
Is there anything you'd like to share with us about sort of like domestic life in the neighborhood when you were growing up?
Like I said, I grew up between 2 giants. I think the Bullion and Jewelers, the Altmans, lived across the street. And if you look at the original, and Tommy has it, but the original register, it's got everybody's name. But I was looking at it the other day, and there was a lot of people worked at Union Camp. I'm sorry that place is closed up, man. That was, but no, it's just a great neighborhood.
Okay. So let's see, you've shared a lot of our questions that we have here. So what are some of the surrounding neighborhoods around Kensington?
Well, I had a best friend, Steve Harris, lived over in Fairway Oaks. You know, ventured out into the other neighborhoods and met people, but Steve went to my elementary school. And Hurd was a fantastic, it was almost like a private school, even though it was public school. And Steve's mother was a teacher, and Miss Piegler was a good teacher there, and Miss Dunn was the principal. And if you were real bad, you got sent to the principal's office, and she would wash your mouth out with Octagon soap. So it was, I don't think you can do that today, but no paddles. Wilder had the paddle. Coach Wong, he'd make you touch your ankles and he'd pop the stew out of you if you acted up out at, playing soccer, or he was the coach for recess, so. But yeah, I don't know, Fairway Oaks, Oakdale, Herd's over there by Oakdale, but I got to meet, you had bicycles. I don't see kids riding bikes like they used to, but we were mobile, and we would ride over and have friends in other neighborhoods, and your parents weren't really worried about you, and you go visit people and make friends in different neighborhoods. And then when the sun would go down, like my sister would be the voice, she would come out on the front porch and holler, "John!" I'd hear her off. It's time to come home. It's time to just turn in. And nobody was worried about me till it was dinner time, But, yeah.
Did Fairway Oaks and Oakdale, do they have distinct kind of identities, or?
I would say Fairway Oaks, well, I don't want to classify them really. They were all three great neighborhoods. Fairway Oaks, we used to cut through Fairway Oaks to Durin, and then they closed that off. But yeah, it's kind of it was a upscale, maybe a hair more than Kensington Park over there in Fairway Oaks. I don't know, but a lot of good friends over there. So.
Were there any other businesses in the area that we should know about?
Well, we would, Mr. Eccles worked at had one of the little small, I think one of the little pharmacy type stores was Wise Pharmacy maybe. But you would call up and order, my sister and I would order, 2 RC colas, and whatever else we wanted, moon pie, whatever. And then, like a nut, and pay with a silver dollar. Stupid stuff. I wish I had them back. But, yeah, you would call in and people would deliver.
Where was Wise located?
I think it was down like Paulson, or I don't think Reynolds, but I don't know, a little store. And Tuttle's was on Durin. Yeah, Tuttle's.
What was Tuttle's?
And wooden floors and candy, and we walk home from Wilder and go into the 7-Eleven. Kenny and Raymond owned the original 7-Eleven in the country, and we had a little store when coming home from Wilder, and on our way to Kelly's Hamburgers. But anyhow, yeah, ask me, you might make me remember more if you ask me a question or two about the neighborhood.
Okay, do you have any questions?
See how it feels?
Sorry.
That's it. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. It's, I'm proud to have grown up in Kensington Park, and I'm proud to be in the neighborhood today. The children, it is one healthy little neighborhood. It's like, there's so many children, and they're cute as they can be, and I don't know, it's a pretty cool deal.
Okay. Well, any last things? I feel like
I don't know. There's plenty more, but I couldn't.
Okay.
You have to get it out of me.
Okay, so you were telling us a little bit earlier, but was there anybody else like involved in your household other than your family, or?
We had a maid that would come every day, Susie, and she took care when my mother went to work for Dr. Duncan Bousquet and Reeves as office manager, and so we needed somebody in the house, and she'd show up in the morning and have supper on the stove when my mother got home, and but she kind of controlled me, you know, especially in the summer months, you know, when I could go out, when I make me take a nap, that kind of thing. But yeah, you know, a lot of neighbors had someone that come to the house.
So were a lot of the housewives who were working, a lot of the women were working in the neighborhood?
A lot, but there were a lot of stay-at-home moms also. And usually the maids would come by bus and Waters in their white outfits. I mean, they were very, very nicely dressed, and they would come walking down the street and go to the different houses. They were friends, you know. So.
And your maid's name was?
Susie.
Susie. And how long did
Susie Sanford.
How long did she work with your family?
Long time. I couldn't tell you exactly how long. And I saw her afterwards several times, you know. So my dad was a state representative and Mr. Ginlat won 6 terms at the Capitol, my next door neighbor. My dad did one term from Savannah and then one at Waycross. He was in Herman Talmadge days.
What was his name?
John Hood. I'm the third.
Very nice. That's interesting. Do you want to tell us any more about that?
Mr. Ginlat took Joey Mayfield and I to the Capitol to be pages. And I got to sit, and I got a picture at my house. I got to sit, Lester Maddox was the governor, and I got to sit in the governor's chair with Mr. Ginlat behind me and the governor behind me and Joey next to me. I ran the state for about 5 minutes, made some decisions, jokingly, but I did. Mr. Ginlat went to the restroom, and we were on the floor, and a vote came up. This is kind of interesting, but I said, he's not here, and he's got to vote. And I reached up and voted yay. He came back, and I said, Mr. Ginlat, I voted for you. And he says, John, which way did you vote? And I said, yay. And he looked, and he goes, okay, don't do it again, but this time, okay.
How old were you?
You know, I was 12, 13 years old, 14 maybe. He dropped us off in the Hyatt at Atlanta with the glass elevators, and we were riding the glass elevators, and I was coming down, and I saw Art Linkletter. I don't know if you remember Art Linkletter. Kids say the darndest things, and he went in the restroom, and I went running in there. He was using the bathroom, and I said, can I get your autograph? And he, you know, the kids say the darndest thing. He said, give me a minute. So I gave him a minute, and he gave me his autograph. I don't have it today. I wish I did. But yeah, we had a great experience. Used to ride the Nancy Hanks to Atlanta. That was our train service from Savannah to Atlanta. It was Wish they had it now. It was a fun excursion to board the train and head to Atlanta.
Well, how long did that run?
A long time, but I don't know when it stopped exactly. But yeah, look it up. That's a pretty cool thing. We had the Nancy Hanks, and we had Wilbur the Weatherbird, and on the weather, you never see. You gotta go on YouTube and look up the old weather shows from Savannah. And Arthur the thermometer would come out the ceiling, and he'd have information in his mouth. He had a card out, and he had Calamity Clam. And when my dad was on television one night when he was running for office, and so I got to take a tour of the. I thought it was WTOC. It might have been WSAV, but anyhow, they had a foot pedal would work the clam. And so he would act like the clam was going to get him, and the weatherman was working It was interesting to see behind the scenes.
Was the bird a real bird?
No. It just stuck down, won't come out of the sky. And Arthur the thermometer would kind of communicate by going up and down the mercury like a ribbon. I don't know. But that's not Kensington Park. That's just old Savannah.
That's just interesting, yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. I don't have, unless you got anything else to ask.
Yeah.
I'm curious more about Susie, and I'm wondering what was maybe the favorite meal, perhaps, that she made.
Well, she made home cooking.
Yeah.
So rice, rice was a part of it. Peas, pork chops, that kind of thing. It was good home soul food, good stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that kind of stuff. Fried chicken. Yeah, we used to eat a lot of fried chicken, and then when we'd have steak on Saturday nights, and we weren't rich, so Mother would buy a steak that you put in the broiler that you would cut up, and everybody get some steak. That was how we did it. We didn't buy individual steaks, but yeah, rice, rolls, good eating. So,
Were there activities that Susie would do with you as a kid, or?
well, I would have to talk her into letting me go outside, like if, go visit a friend. I'd have to ask her, like I said, she controlled me, made me take naps. And she make you lay down, but that doesn't mean you were going to go to sleep. But anyhow, yeah, she did that. And then, of course, she played cards with me and stuff. But she had chores to do too, so. And Mother would leave butter beans, and you had to shell them before she got home. And my fingernails were just destroyed trying to peel those butter beans apart and stuff. We had stuff, like that. I'd help Susie shell the butter beans. Yeah.
Was there maybe a favorite memory that you had of Susie, or?
I loved her, but you get attached to people, and I'd see her afterwards on occasion, and she loved me, so. Part of it.
Yeah.
Part of it. It wasn't as bad a situation as it could sound. It was a lot of love. It was a good relationship. So.
Definitely sounds like it. Anything else on that note? Any last things you'd like to share with us?
Not really. I think that's about it. I don't, there was more to the neighborhood, like I said. I mean, but, catch frogs, and we had a lot of frogs, but don't have as many anymore. But, I used to collect frogs and in the neighborhood, catch lizards in the bushes, that kind of stuff. It's a fun place, that's all. That's why I wanted to come over today.
That's definitely what you shared with us.
Yeah,
So, okay, if you feel like.
I'll get home and go, golly, I'm sitting right there.
You can always send us an email.
That's right.